The modern map is largely exhausted. We've charted the ocean floors, paved over ancient forests, and cataloged nearly every corner of the globe. Yet, pockets of quiet still exist. This is Palawan, an archipelago stretching across the western edge of the Philippines, acting as a final barrier before the open sea. Looking at these jagged walls of limestone, you can see how the island protects itself. These towering formations act as a geological shield, insulating the interior from the violent currents of the ocean. Against walls of this size, a fishing boat becomes almost invisible. The sheer scale here forces a recognition of how small we actually are in the natural order. Past that limestone barrier, you find water that barely ripples. Enclosed basins like Kayaking Lake are entirely sealed off from the surrounding tides. Without the push and pull of the open ocean, the rhythm slows down. The ecosystem breathes at its own pace, undisturbed by the rush of the outside world. This dense canopy and these calm lagoons form the uppermost layer of the island's composition. The rest of the structure is carved into the dark stone below. Beneath the limestone, the light vanishes. The rivers that shape this island don't run on the surface. They carve their way through the rock itself. Inside the Puerto Princesa underground river, you travel in absolute darkness. The only way to see the cave walls is by bringing your own human-powered light. Every drop of water falling from the ceiling leaves behind a microscopic trace of mineral. It takes tens of thousands of years to build a single stalactite hanging overhead. The creatures navigating these channels rely on echolocation and highly specialized senses. The sun never rises or sets in this space. It is a closed loop, preserved so meticulously that scientists recognize it as a World Heritage Site, a pristine record of the Earth's geological machinery. These lightless rivers form an impenetrable vault. Millions of years of planetary history sit in the dark, entirely untouched. Moving from the fresh subterranean water out into the deep saltwater bays of Coron, the environment shifts again. Resting on the seabed are the massive, manufactured steel hulls of a World War II fleet. In less than a century, the local biology has consumed them. The sharp edges are now entirely encased in complex, branching coral networks. Follow the reef as it slopes upward, and the water quickly warms, trading the deep blues for the bright, sunlit shallows. Here, the transition is stark. A narrow strip of powdery white sand acts as a fragile bridge between the vibrant marine reef and the dense jungle line. Looking at this transition from wreckage to reef, a clear pattern emerges. Whatever human history leaves behind, this ecosystem absorbs and repurposes. Stepping off the sand and into the interior, the humidity spikes. The thick canopy closes overhead, filtering out the harsh sun. Because Palawan was physically separated from the mainland mass, evolution took a different path here. Many of the animals moving through this underbrush exist nowhere else on the planet. Look closely at the forest floor. You can find the iridescent, blue and green plumage of the Palawan peacock pheasant standing out sharply against the dead leaves. The deep water trenches surrounding the island kept predators out. That geological isolation created a biological vault, insulating species from the pressures that drive extinction elsewhere. To understand the whole structure, you have to look down from above. From the peak of Mount Tapias, you can see how the coastal settlements map onto the shoreline. The people living here rely entirely on the health of the reefs and the forests. Local fishermen cast their nets in accordance with the tides, taking only what the ecosystem can replenish. As the sun drops, the water calms entirely. The bright yellow and red hulls of the traditional banca boats reflect perfectly on the glass-like surface. As the tide returns and the forest goes dark, the island maintains its rhythm, a landscape where wilderness remains the primary authority.